next speaker is not a doctor, but he is a lawyer at Shibolet, and he's the head of blockchain. Please, Shaul, are you here? All right, so please welcome Shaul. Come and visit us. Thank you.
So we're talking about exploring the possibilities in Israel. Possibilities, we're talking actually about the formation of the companies. So we already know, and you know, there are a great number of entrepreneurs here in Israel and great number of exciting projects coming out of Israel. But what we all have in common, or all those projects have in common, is that they all went and incorporated outside of Israel, most of them in Gibraltar and Switzerland, even in the US and some other territories, except for a tiny one, non-state in Israel. And I want to talk a little bit about that, and is it possible now or in the future to actually stay here in Israel? So what is common is the division of the two main types of tokens, and we'll start by that, just a clear understanding. We have a U.S. kind of thinking that affects the entire world, of a distinction between what is known as security tokens and utility tokens. We heard a lot about the securities token today and what they can actually pose. But just so we understand, there are clear laws all around the world trying to define what securities are. And utility tokens are basically, or essentially, everything else, everything that doesn't fall into the definition of a security. Under this division, we see that security tokens, either by default or as the way that the regulator will see them, they tend to focus on the profit. And that's also what you heard a lot of people talk today, about the profit, either in the platform itself and how it will help either humanity, or in the end will profit itself and share some of that profit, or perhaps it's the token model itself that will increase exponentially over time, hopefully will increase very much in value and over a very short period of time. And the way that the regulator sees that is it says, okay, those who purchase those tokens are actually investors. They invest in the future success, or hopefully the success, and they need protection, and that protection comes from securities laws. They provide clear disclosure requirements, full and very often rigorous disclosure requirements about the platform, about the company, about the people behind the company, and also a very rigorous and sometimes not so useful procedure of how to offer that tokens. Usually it tells you what documents you need to have, when you can offer, to whom you can offer, what quantities, and so forth. And whatever else is, as I said, is termed utility tokens, whatever is not a security is going to be providing the regular network access and has the utility characteristics, and basically it's a consumption, it's a consumer token. It's supposed to provide some consumer characteristics, and it can be protected, or the purchasers can be protected under the regular consumer laws. So this is considered to be the common distinction between the main two types of tokens. You also know about the cryptocurrencies, or the payment tokens. It's the third and the hardest to actually come by, and perhaps there are some regulators that can argue that perhaps only Bitcoin is actually a payment token, no one else. But even under this distinction comes the U.S. regulator and says, well, even if you have utility characteristics, and even if you have a network access, and even if you call yourself a utility token, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are actually a utility token. And basically, when we boil it down, we come down to the economics of the token. So again, if you have a security token and you're talking about how you will profit, this is what you try to market: the profitability of the token or the platform, as opposed to a utility token that is supposed to be a stable token, supposed to support the same purchasing power over time, or by and large the same purchasing power. And this is something that you should also understand. The regulators are kind of smart sometimes, and they can read between the lines. And if they actually see that you build the economy correctly, and if they see an economy that supports stability and actually tries to support a utility or utilization of the token rather than the profitability, the regulators will tend to fall in line and accept that distinction. And again, the question is, are there really utility tokens? So these are some of the common characteristics that we will try to look into a token to define whether or not it's not a security, it's a utility. So it provides a true access to a network or a product, and it is promoted for its usage and builds upon and builds a community of supporters. And it has a stable economics, and always it will have something else, that extra thing that you can't really define and can't really think about in advance, but when you see it, you actually know it. But all these characteristics, they're also similar to the same. They are the same characteristics that we see in every crowdfunding platform, be it Kickstarter or Indiegogo. So they all have the same thing. Except for one thing, and that's the one thing that the regulator likes to look at, and that's the secondary market. So it all comes down to the fact that, unlike Indiegogo or Kickstarter or other platforms, in blockchain we have the secondary market, and that's the key factor, whether or not this is the most important part of the platform or not. If the possibility, if the entire platform is built on blockchain and the token is used only because it has a secondary market and people can buy and sell it and hope that it will increase in value, again, the regulator will see it as a problem. We, on the other hand, try to actually turn the tables and say this is not a problem, this is actually a solution. So we look at the market today, the market of fundraising, and we see a problem. When I contribute to any project on Indiegogo or I get stuck with that. I can't change my bind. I can't cancel my purchase. I can't transfer the risk to somebody new. Secondary market in blockchain actually provides that. And this is one of the things that we hope entrepreneurs and new companies in the blockchain will actually understand and try to promote, how they are actually being not only utilized, but how they are actually contributing to the consumers, to the purchasers, and bringing them more new ways to protect them that did not exist until today. So again, this is the common distinction between tokens, and this is a saying by the chairman of the SEC, Clayton, and he says, first of all, he says it numerous times. He said it in the past numerous times. I actually haven't seen many or at all utility tokens. I think that everything is a security, it has security traits, but he says also, don't trust your own judgment. even if you think you're a utility token, come to us, to the SEC, talk to us, and definitely if you are a security token, come to us, and we'll solve the problem, and we'll help the projects, because we're really hoping to assist the blockchain industry. This statement was made in December 11, 2017, exactly 6 months ago. Was made public. My only problem with this statement is there are no results. It's 6 months in, and we haven't heard of one single project that can say, I am truly regulated ICO. I went to the SEC and I got their approval. I went to the SEC and they said, oh, here's how you do it. Starting at the beginning of the year, we heard lots of projects talking about Reg A Plus being the solution, allowing for offering of securities in the United States with great ease and without the rigorous requirements. But no projects actually came out of the U.S. Using the Reg A Plus. And this is my problem with those statements. And that's why I'm here to talk about another nation that actually likes to think outside the box, and this is here in Israel. So we don't have a single regulator yet to talk about blockchain or handle blockchain, but we have several regulators that are actually actively trying to find new regulations and new ways to assist companies and assist the industry and promote ICOs from Israel. So we had, at the beginning of the year already, the tax authority with a draft circular on how to tax ICOs and provide easement for some of the companies. We have the securities authority that I'm actually working close with them, hand in hand. We're bringing them projects, we're talking to them, we're showing them the technology, we're showing them our interpretation of Israeli and U.S. Regulations and legal requirements, and they're actually very open to listen and to accept and to adapt and to change and to learn. And they do accept the concept of having non-securities tokens. And last, and again, this is probably the most important or the biggest problem, biggest challenge are the banks. No, the problem with banks will stay no matter where you incorporate, whether or not you're Israeli, Swiss, Gibraltar. First of all, they also have in those territories, they have their own problems. Even in Switzerland, most banks will not open bank accounts for ICO companies. They have other territories like Liechtenstein that they go to. And Gibraltar also, most banks will not open bank accounts for ICO companies. Second of all, if you're an Israeli entrepreneur, even if you did manage to open a bank account in Switzerland, at the end of the day, you have employees here in Israel, you have bills here in Israel, you wanna be able to transfer the money here, you will end up finding the same problems and the same difficulty. But what I am leaving you with is a little optimism. We've seen in the last month just the supervisor of banks from the Bank of Israel telling banks you need to start opening bank accounts, not for ICO companies, for something that is much harder for banks to accept, which is the financial services providers, the exchanges, the bits of gold of crypto and other exchanges, and they must open accounts for them unless they have reasonable they found grounded reasons why not to, and those reasons must be approved by the regulator. So again, this is a bit of optimism to end this little talk. Again, we are working today, and we have a few projects that we already bring to various regulators here in Israel. We know that the regulators are forthcoming, and I think this will at the end solve lots of problems, and of course will also solve the issue of how to, not only where to incorporate, but also how to incorporate, how to manage the non-Israeli entity, and will save money at the end of the day. So that's it. Thank you very much.